Today's session we have taken up this particular line. A long dim preparation is man's life. That is from Book 1, Canto 3. So, before trying to delve, I'll just like to read the whole stanza. A long dim preparation is man's life, a circle of toil and hope and war and peace, tracked out by life on matters obscure ground. In his climb to a peak no feet have ever trod, he seeks through a penumbra shot with flame, a veiled reality half known, ever missed, a search for something or someone never found, cult of an ideal, never made real here, an endless spiral of ascent and fall, until at last is reached the giant point through which his glory shines for whom we were made, and we break into the infinity of God. So beautiful lines. So Sri Aurobindo says that a long dim preparation is man's life. Why is it so? Because this life of man, as we see, is not the first one, nor it will be the last one. In fact, this life, as we see in a human being, this is a preparation, a long preparation. So, how is it so? In fact, a single life, when you see a man's life, it is preceded by so many lives before it, which have prepared through different long experiences, realizations, which have brought him to the present life. And that is not all. In future also, after cessation of this particular body in this life, he will have so many lives for him to come, through which he will again gather experiences. So it's an unceasing journey, a perpetual journey of human being. And also it's a dim preparation. Why dim? Because although we keep on moving in life through different experiences, we put our intelligence, put everything in whatever we do, our knowledge, our intelligence, our capabilities, but then all are in half light, or in other words, in ignorance we do. We have, as is always said, we are also closeted in mental periphery. We cannot break that periphery to become a part of the infinity. So it goes on. To different lives we gather experiences, but that is in ignorance and half-light. So we have to take birth again and again. So it becomes a perpetual journey. Man's life is a perpetual journey. So each life of man is a preparation for a distant but eventual transmutation of his human nature to the divine one, because that remains always the intention of the divine. As we are a part of the whole process of the divine manifestation, he in fact becomes in us through all these different life experiences, and we grow in consciousness, we grow in realization, and we come out of all those baggage of ignorance, of limitations of our mind, limitations of our forces, even the physical ones, and grow or move forward. And all these life after life, man gathers experiences, develops his personality, then equips himself. And one thing is for sure, that through all this, even he doesn't know that all these contribute, all these experiences, this joy, this sorrow, this pain, all these also contribute to this process of ascent from human nature to divine nature. But that always remains the intention of the divine. So there is a unseen hand which works from above, that is the divine's hand, which propels us through that small portion which by now we know to be the indwelling Godhead, that is the psychic being, which is the evolving part of the soul, which takes us forward always through different experiences. And all these lives of ours is a dim preparation, dim and long preparation, but eventually for a transmutation from human to divine nature. A circle of toil and hope and war and peace, tracked out by life on matters obscure ground, in his climb to a peak no feet have ever trod. So, in this journey, one goes from ignorance to light, from ignorance to wisdom, and when he reaches those points or those spots have never been trod earlier. So all these because of the process of evolution, because a human being cannot remain where he or she is. One has to always grow towards divinity, and in this process goes upward only. So he seeks through a penumbra shot with flame, a veiled reality half known, ever missed, a search for something or someone never found. Although he doesn't know what he is going to find out tomorrow in this spiritual journey of his, he always seeks to go forward, seeks to search for that something which always eludes him, because he has gone through so many experiences in lives, not in the present life itself, but series of lives which he has passed earlier, which only even though he doesn't know, he doesn't remember with his present memory, but it is very interesting actually. The psychic has a memory of its own which records everything and keeps therein, and it remembers through which experiences one has gone through in earlier lives, and out of that the essence is taken and preserved. So in future it adds up to the whole process itself. cult of an ideal never made real here, an endless spiral of ascent and fall, until at last is reached the giant point through which his glory shines, for whom we were made, and we break into the infinity of God. And finally, after climbing all those planes of consciousness one after the other, as we see, as narrated by Sri Aurobindo through his own experiences, although he has put an entity by the name of Ashwapati. So Ashwapati goes through all these planes of consciousness, rising one after the other, before he finally reaches the point where he, shedding all that which was not required of the lower human nature, he reaches that spot from which the higher path starts. That is the path of the divine. Realm after realm, he ascends and finally breaks into the infinity of the divine. So that is it. And in this whole process, who is the leader? It is the Divine Mother again, who has taken the responsibility of the whole human race itself with a single condition, that one should collaborate in the process. Although we seem to believe that we are doing sadhana, we are trying to do a lot of things, whatever is lower in our nature, we are trying to reject, or we are aspiring for a better life, a divine life, and we have rejected things which are not required, then we have surrendered also to the divine or the Divine Mother. But in reality, it is she who is working through us, of course, getting a small response from our side. There is a beautiful prayer of the Mother in Prayers and Meditations dated 22nd December 1914. The whole prayer I won't read, but I'll just read a small portion. You see, let all earthly desires come together in me, O Lord, so that thou mayest consider them, and thy work will be able to work precisely, clearly, definitively upon the smallest detail as upon the whole. So, in essence, she not only is asking that boon, in fact, she, being the representative of the Supreme Divine, she is taking the whole burden of humanity in her shoulders. If you go through the last volumes of Mother's Agenda, you will be amazed what kind of difficulty, what kind of dangers she had undertaken in her own body for us. There is the logbook, Mother's Agenda. I hope someday a lot of people will be going through this when the time comes. And so the journey, this journey of transfiguration of our whole nature, encompassing mind, life and matter, this physical body being the matter. So this is something which was not undertaken earlier this process, and with the coming of Sri Aurobindo and the mother at the right juncture, at the proper time, then only when the earth, a few chosen ones were, I mean, a few chosen ones, when they became ready, then only they took up the work. It was destined, of course. And now, after so many years, as I said earlier also, 65, after 65 years of supramental manifestation, the work is progressing like anything, although it doesn't show outwardly. In the times to come, we all will be knowing how our lives have changed and will be changing for better. Thank you so much. Jai Ma. Do you have something for discussion or something, like any question? Okay, then we conclude the session today.